Hello, everybody. Let's see who's in the call. They're joining. Okay, can we get some hint if we got to start or if we can start?
I think you can go, Stefan, yeah.
Yes. So hello, everybody. Pleased to meet you in our session about cybersecurity and asset vulnerability. We want to talk about eccenca and the corporate memory. I'm Stefan Reinhardt, CSO of the company, heading up sales and partner management, and pleased to meet you. I hand over to René.
Yeah, hello everyone. Welcome to our product presentation on corporate memory and a cybersecurity solution on top of it. First of all, thanks to Ontotext for the invitation and having us at the Knowledge Graph Conference or Forum this year. And also many thanks for the organization of this event in general. I'm René Pietzsch. I'm heading product management in eccenca. So thus being also responsible for our product lineup. And as I said, glad today to present you with some updates on the product, as well as some exciting new product solution that we're willing to share and release to the community as part of our eccenca.my service. So let me get into it. All right, so in a nutshell, I think not everyone has heard about eccenca before. So eccenca in a nutshell, it's a German-based software company, right? So we are specialized in knowledge graph software and knowledge graph-based solutions. And I'm responsible for our product lineup, which is basically in the realm of what we call building, exploring, consuming, and governing knowledge graphs. You will learn more about this in a few seconds. So yeah, let's get started with corporate memory. So let's briefly talk about the product and its features, and also why we consider it as the platform in the area of fair data and neurosymbolic AI. And also how it's suited to act as a fundament for cybersecurity solutions. So before we go into more details about it, just a quick recap. Last year at the KGF, we also presented corporate memory as maybe the most easy to use platform to build your knowledge graph-based solutions. So I'll give you an update on that. So what has developed since then. And also we announced last year to release our eccenca.my service, our self-service sandbox. So also let me update you on this. So as promised, we kept our promise. In Q1 this year, we launched our eccenca.my service. So I encourage everyone to check it out now or later. Go to eccenca.my, type it in your browser. It's a self-service sandbox platform of our software corporate memory. So basically all the details that I'll conveying to you, you can try yourself, right? So give it a go, spin up your own knowledge graph. Try to build your own knowledge graph-based solution. Let us know what you think about it. Let us know if you want more about this. So this is the place that I can recommend you to go. But yeah, also as I said, a quick recap about and updates about corporate memory. We said it's the platform to elevate your knowledge graph projects. What has happened since last year? Again, just as an easy starter, what is corporate memory? So we think it's exactly the platform that helps you to break down data silos and to put your knowledge and data into the correct perspectives, right? So we help you to basically connect all the data assets from your various different functions and domains in your organization, right? So we break down your data walled garden, so to speak, to interconnect and contextualize your data elements with each other. But not only this, I think there's many tools, frameworks out there that is doing this also without the help of semantic technologies, but we have the unique capability to fuse these connected data assets with the thinking procedures, rules, the knowledge, if you will, that your people, your experts basically have in their minds, right? So we allow them to build rules in our platform that even wave that network of interconnected elements deeper and make that knowledge graph even more meaningful to you. So it's the effective fundament to create and base your knowledge graph projects upon. What does that mean? So to make it a little bit more tangible, so this is our kind of functional overview of corporate memory. And here again, you see these 4 elements that I call build, explore, consume, and govern. So it's 4 categories of capabilities along our platform in which we basically cater you with different functionalities. So to walk you through this very briefly, as you can see, build is basically the whole area that we typically start our projects in. We connect to graph and most likely non-graph data sources. We take in vocabularies, and we build workflows that consists of mapping and linking instructions and other operations to turn your non-graph data sets into a knowledge graph, right? So with the knowledge graph in place, we have the category of exploration and consumption. In exploration, as the name implies, you have tons of features and functionalities to interact with your knowledge graph. First of all, to look at it, if the build process actually did what it was supposed to do and created the correct structure. So we use it as a first stop and as an evaluation step, so to speak, to see as a human that all the workflows and the rules have been executed correctly. Once that's confirmed and verified, we have means in place to shape the way the data is represented to the end user, to configure the UIs, to configure the interaction that you also want to implement with your knowledge graph. So we have interfaces and tools that lets the users interact with the knowledge graph. And then when it really comes to interacting and integrating with this knowledge graph fundament, the consumption area becomes interesting because we cater lots of different APIs and integration endpoints so that you can anchor this application in your IT infrastructure. And yeah, last but not least, there's the category of governance, which is kind of a shared functionality layer that we also use internally to provide a harmonized way of doing access and permissioning on top of your graph-based solution. We achieved it by query rewriting. We also harmonized the way how this whole application can be logged and monitored and these sort of things. Okay, let me take a sip of water here. So that's as an overview. A quick update regarding some, I would say, very exciting developments in terms of additional functionality. I guess since 1 year or so, generative AI and LLM basically is in every IT company very present pale that basically probably is here to stay and will not go away. And also we looked at how LLM and generative AI actually can augment and enrich the user experience in our application. And with the product release that we are actually finishing today, the next one, we're also releasing 2 very interesting capabilities and features. First and foremost, it's the ontology assistant. A very important one, as in many, if not all of our projects, ontology work is the very first milestone that a project actually need to master, right? So people need to find or build the ontology that they want to be used when they create a knowledge graph. And the idea of this assistant, as the image already tells you, you basically have a chat-like interaction where you can describe your domain, describe the business objects in your domain with the idea that an ontology, the very first one, a very rough one, still it needs to be refined, but it basically helps you to overcome the problem of the blank sheet, right? So you have something to start, you have something to discuss around in a workshop in order to get you started and get you going even faster. Let me also show you a quick demo of this thing. So basically it's anchored in what we call our EasyNav ontology and data explorer, right? So here you have a new option in the menu bar, which starts this dialog. So the chat pops up, and what you then describe is in plain English, your business objects and domain. Here it's something about NFT transactions and an NFT domain. So I want to model wallets, I want to model transactions and what is basically transferred from A to B. So the prompt is processed, and in the background, you already see classes and object relations created for the user. This now can be further arranged. And this UI is not only a viewer into your data, but you can also now interact with this graph. So you can add additional classes, you can create additional object properties. Save this result also to your knowledge graph and use this then in the subsequent mapping and linking processes that will follow afterwards. Right. So yeah, so this basically caters to the following steps, which is then mapping and linking. With mappings and linkings in place, basically your knowledge graph creation can be driven. And once your knowledge graph has been created and established, a second very interesting feature comes into play, which is the generative AI-driven query generation. So very much like the ontology assistant, here there is a chat interface that translates your plain English request for data or insights into a technical Sparkle query that can directly be executed, and results can be taken from the graph. Okay, let me run this briefly. So this assistant is integrated into our query catalog. Excuse me. And basically the effect was quite short. So we ask a basic query here. Technically an interesting one. It's aggregating, it's grouping. It's also using a graph pattern. So it's already quite advanced stuff. So we ask for insights about our graphs. And just with this plain English question, you get a technically fully working query that now can be executed and used to get some insights. All right, so that was my short update regarding new product features. So let's advance into the realm of cybersecurity. Why eccenca? Why graph? Why semantic and cybersecurity? I guess obviously one of the super hot topics in all IT, right? So security, cybersecurity is really something where things happen, where also money goes. And we just happen to work together with leading customers in the industry and in the government over recent years. And we just realized that this is really an area where dealing well with data, dealing well with information, contextualizing information is a key element. And we also found three main areas where we really can be of help, right? Obviously preventing attacks, but also detecting, developing or ongoing attacks, identifying and selecting the right mitigation strategies, and also preventing these things by hardening existing software, closing potential areas to exploit security risks and these sort of things. So this whole domain, as you probably know, is super data, super knowledge rich, but also this domain cares less about connecting and contextualizing this information, right? They care less about reuse. Many hunting activities are one-off activities. Only very rarely the activities to trace down an attack are well documented and well anchored in other knowledge assets of this domain. And this is really something where some of the key analysts and key experts in that field really had aha moments looking at how we go about it, right? So how we deal with data, how we deal with information. So this is really something where we can bring good ideas and good benefits to this table and to this area. And the solution that we actually want to share with you today is in this third category for hardening of existing software. Namely, it is about vulnerabilities, or specifically CVEs, and its relationship to software artifacts, and its alignment and management of both in the same. The idea of this whole thing is it will be a free add-on package that can be used in combination with your free instance at eccenca.my, right? So again, can only encourage you to get one. And for us, it will be the nucleus into a potentially growing and nurturing family and ecosystem of cybersecurity solutions and components and packages. So how we want to go about this is really like driving this like an open source project, right? So we are releasing, or we will be releasing this solution package as an add-on, a pre-confectionated configuration of our product, if you will, for a very specific use case, managing the CVEs. And in this case, really, it's about extending this whole thing into additional messaging services, into additional data feeds and data sources. You'll see in a second what I mean by that. And in the future, we can also envision, that's what we're working on with our clients in governance and industry, that we see there are other areas like threat detection, ticketing about threats, threat intelligence, and threat forensics, where this whole nucleus really can play an important role. Just checking the clock here. So yeah, okay, we have a few more minutes, but I'll kind of save you from motivation challenge. I think if you're really interested, you can read this also in the PDF. As I said, right, so this whole domain is data heavy, but not so models heavy, right? So they really have a lot of things to take in. In many cases, again, like always in IT, right? So you don't know what you know, right? So you need to be on top of all the information, and a good data strategy, a good data layer can really be key to make that real. And having that challenge stated, I think it's also clear why, as semantic, data approach, and the semantic data company really can make a change here. And Eccenca, we have proven in our project, probably that much about this slide, we could really show that having a better paradigm to manage threats, to manage incidents, to manage also signals that you want to relate with all these elements is a big time saver, and can really make the life of the cybersecurity hunter and the analysts much more easier. So this really is a key element here. I hear some noise on the line. Is there a question, Javan?
No, not yet. I don't see any questions. If
okay.
somebody has some, I hope he interrupts and jumps in.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Give me a second. Oh my goodness, my throat is quite dry. All right. Couple of more elements here. So to get actually practical into this thing. Oh, excuse me. So what's in that package actually? And I said walk the talk here to name that slide, because this is a homegrown eat your own dog food kind of solution. It's centered around corporate memory as the integral brain, and it basically starts by inspecting software artifacts, software packages, which is driven by two third-party elements. So this whole thing runs as a pipeline, as a CI/CD pipeline in GitLab Actions. So it's triggered daily or on demand. It invokes a Trivi scanner, which takes a list of software artifacts, namely Docker images that we want to inspect. So our own software components and the third-party components that are part of our platform. The Trivi scan results, JSON documents, are then basically taken and fed by CMMC, our command line automation utility, which is basically invoked again by GitLab Actions, and throws one of these JSON documents after each other into a corporate memory pipeline, which is filling our vulnerabilities knowledge graph with additional elements. Right? There is a specific workspace configured in corporate memory, which is the entry point for our software engineers. And there is a connection of this pipeline to Mattermost, which is our internal communication channel. It's a Slack-like basically chat system, if you will. And there's a bot that informs the developers community about newly found CVEs that are in context with one of our software components, and asks our expert to describe potential mitigation strategies and evaluate the risk vector of this newly found CV. So that's kind of the overall process and solution in a nutshell. As a result of this annotation process, if you will, the next day this whole pipeline is run, an updated report will be generated, right? Which then highlights the kind of strategies that our experts mentioned and named for the very CVEs that were found. Right? So that's kind of the thing that we packaged and now releasing basically to this community, or to you guys if you want, and hopefully you're interested. Just to give you some impressions, so that's kind of the internal data model shown in our built-in graph viewer again. So this is the vocabulary that we used to represent the assets, the vulnerabilities, to reports, mitigations, and all these things. That is one of the pipelines, which is basically invoked from the GitLab Actions script, and where the JSON documents from Trivi are coming in and processed in order to fill and update the knowledge graph. And that is an impression about the management interface, where our experts basically use our own software to enter mitigation strategies, to describe the potential risk vectors that emerge from the CVEs that we found. And lastly, to give a context to all these elements. So this is the messaging process, so to speak. There's a second pipeline that is invoked, which then sorts out newly uncommented, unlinked CVEs, signals them into different Mattermost channels to various teams. And these teams are then basically taken with a deep link that is also communicated by the bot, taken back to our platform, where they then basically can annotate and describe the potential risk that emerges from this very CVE, this vulnerability, and what potential mitigation strategies need to be applied. This whole process basically. Some noise on the line. There's someone hitting hard on the keyboard who's not on mute.
That's me, sorry. Just answering the questions or trying to answer and postpone them.
Okay. Okay. All right, that's no problem. I think we can get to the questions. I'm already at my second last slide here, so just bear with me for one more second. So this whole exercise, this whole process, as described earlier, is used to produce reports, artifacts that we also then create as well as the result of this process. Specifically, it's HTML reports that we generate, also with a framework that we use as part of corporate memory. It's different kinds of reports, also in different granularities. Just to give you an idea, I added screenshots of two of them. On the left side, you see a component report. This is basically the result of a vulnerability report for one specific Docker image. The right side is the vulnerability report configuration as such. So there's a full list of all the artifacts that are scanned in one run of this pipeline. There are also customer-specific reports. I didn't edit them here. They are basically, they resemble specific customer deployments, at least those that are known to us, so that we can give them an early warning and early indication if certain specific actions need to be applied on their end within the CVE that was identified that could potentially be exploited. So that's also very helpful for us, helping them to be and stay secure. So that's kind of the package that we, as said, want to make available as part of, taking me back to my intro, we want to make available as part of our eccenca.my sandbox offering. So you're not only free to start whatever knowledge graph project on your sandbox, but now you can also take this pre-confectionated package as a cybersecurity solution and apply that to your very own needs of CVE and vulnerability management. That's kind of the idea. So hope that was interesting. I think we are opening up for questions now. And yeah, would be happy to see one of you guys trying out and registering yourself at eccenca.my in the near future.
Yes. Thank you, René. Thanks for showing. Atanas raised the question regarding the Gene AI for querying. So what kind of queries would be inappropriate for this?
What kind of queries would be appropriate?
Inappropriate.
I can just rewind here. Inappropriate. Good point. That's a good question. I think, to be honest, this is a alpha feature. It's disabled by default, but anyone installing the newest release can enable that just by keying in an OpenAI API key, which potentially also gives you some ideas about what would be inappropriate. So any kind of data that you do not want to see in the hands of that American company should probably not be indexed and asked about. What we have implemented here is an RAG approach, a retrieval augmented generation approach. So we basically send the plain English sentence to OpenAI, right? In order asking them to suggest a query, and that query suggestion is then basically compared to a vector index that we created on top of all the vocabularies in the vocabulary catalog. So we try then to find relationships between terms in the generic query and very concrete concepts in the knowledge graph. It's super interesting. As I said, it already achieves to generate technically sophisticated queries. It fails on some other tasks where you would intentionally say, okay, that should be an easy thing. So we are also ourselves at a very early stage, but we want to give this to the community also to just have a wider audience giving us feedback, and yeah, just gaining what insights about what can be done, what cannot be done. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
So
okay. I think Adanas
got it. We also. Yeah. Okay.
On Vasil's question, Vasil is asking, do we fine-tune LLM for specific ontology? Or Sparkle generation can work with any schema?
Yeah, I think probably I gave a partial answer to that already.
Yes.
In my explanation. So right now we are not fine tuning it, but we are following this RAG approach, as I said, which also means that we are not giving any specific insights into the hands of OpenAI. The alignment is basically done on our end. So the only thing that we send is the question. So the plain English question. This will end up in the hands of OpenAI and in their generative engine, but that is it. So we're also about to do some experimentation about fine-tuning. What we will probably not do is we will not train our own model from ground up. I guess many people shying away from that. But yeah, fine-tuning is certainly something that we will explore in the coming releases. But not yet clear for us what that will yield in terms of better results.
Yeah, I think Mohan, is your question already answered by this? Because he's wondering about how AI will convert the RDBMS data, RDFs or ontologies. As you showed in the beginning, maybe he wasn't there.
Yeah. I mean, probably a few words about why our investment in this thing. Like many others, we trying to overcome the skills gap by packaging some of the capabilities that experts can perform into well-positioned generative AI or LLM capabilities. And this is the very same thing. So wherever input from what we call a linked data expert is required, which could be, for instance, the engineering of an ontology, which typically is the creation of a Sparkle query. But along that process also is, for instance, wherever a mapping or linking configuration is needed. So, okay, I think you sense it already. So one of the next areas that we are gonna exploit and where we want to apply this whole AI LLM paradigm is actually in creating automatically mappings or linking rules from background knowledge and also from grounding information like ontologies and concepts from ontologies. Right?
Yeah.
That's just a sneak peek into very tough stuff here.
Discussing by the way,
right now in the preparation for the next release to come.
Yeah, sorry. And by the way, we're not bound to OpenAI only. It can be any of the LLMs. It
can be any, but yeah, it's also clear, I think, if you are on the forefront of pushing boundaries, it's clear that the company that just received evaluation of 5 billion and had the ability to invest billions into training a model, obviously put up maybe the most capable thing, right? So if you really want to understand what's possible, it's always good to use the APIs first. And once you have an idea of what can be done, then you can also always start with a llama or whatever and fine-tune or train that further. So that's the idea where we're coming from. And that's also the reason why we start with OpenAI first. But it's true, Stefan, you can always go to your, or you always can connect your very own model, given there's an API compatibility. So you can just drop in replace.
We got another question by Elliot. What vectorization tools are you using to chunk and embed your data?
I need to follow up on that question. That's a good one. I also happen to have this discussion with the engineering folks, but I don't remember. But I'm happy to give you these details.
Yeah. So Elliot, we come back to this.
You recorded that question? Yes.
Yes. Okay, any other questions so far? I hope this was helpful. And especially on the cybersecurity topic gives you a glance of what to do in that area and section. I kindly invite you to use eccenca.my and sign up for the test instance. And by this also gain some knowledge in self-use of the corporate memory.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, both René and Stefan. It was a wonderful presentation. I want to remind everybody that we are going to be taking a short break. So if you need to get up and move around, or if you'd like to network, feel free to look in the lobby and network with some folks who are joining the forum today. And a reminder, if you do have any questions, whether it was for René and Stefan or any of our previous presenters, you can actually go to each of those individual booths and share those questions. So really appreciate everybody's engagement and look forward to the rest of the sessions today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.